Well, here we go. Happy Monday, everybody. My name is Jason Flame, and welcome to the Master Motivation Show this Monday, May 16th already. Wow, May 16th. That's so fast. Hey, we're streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. If you're watching this, drop us a comment and say hello, and do us a favor and share this so everybody can see it. My guest today is Mr. Troy Miller. And Troy Miller is the owner of Martial Arts Research Systems in Grand Junction, Colorado. He has extensive experience in several martial arts systems, holds multiple black belt ranks and instructor certifications. Mr. Miller has also done stunt work in the motion picture industry, as well as being a stunt coordinator. He opened his martial arts school in 1987 and currently has over 400 active students. Thank you, sir, for being on the show.
Hello. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Let's
Yeah.
go. Exciting. I had a nice weekend, but I always look forward to Mondays when I get to talk with old friends and great martial artists and just overall good people that have a great message, I believe, that we can share with our audience here today. You know, the title of the show is Master Motivation, and we all know that motivation doesn't last and discipline takes over, but you got to start somewhere. And I think just if we start our week off with a little motivation from you and inspiration, it'll be a great day.
Yeah. Hopefully I can help.
Yeah, I know you will. I know you will. Hey, tell us a little bit. I think when I was reading this, it was just kind of cool to hear that you've done stunt work and you talked about working with like Steven Seagal and some
Yeah.
other people. How did you get into stunt work?
Total accident. I was actually filming a Filipino boxing DVD, and the guy filming it was making a movie, and we had Ron Balicki and Diana Sano in the stunt work. So I went and did that, and then I just get calls, and from there I've done about 15 movies. Yeah. So
Yeah.
starting out like no money, and then I got SAG, and it was like, holy crap, you can make money doing this.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I worked with Steven twice. I actually flew out to his house to train him with sticks for a movie, but ended up learning his knife stuff. So he's an interesting person. Very
Sure.
interesting person. Yeah.
I bet that was probably a really cool experience. Well, it's funny that you say that it was by accident. Sometimes we have these things that come into our lives and these opportunities, and I don't know if anything is really truly an accident. I just think that there's an opportunity that opens up, and you have the choice to walk through that door and take it, or walk right past it. So,
Yeah. Could
you know,
have said no because I didn't make any money. I just helped. Went out and got beat up and shot and made the movie, and from there, more and more. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a
Any
lot.
any other celebrities that you've worked with other than Steven Seagal? Notable celebrities?
Aaron Eckhart, he was Two-Face on Batman, and he's a pretty big name. On I, Frankenstein, I got to go out and help train him
Cool.
for the role he had. He had double stick. It was really, really cool because when the movie came out, the stuff I taught him, he actually did in the movie. So we went to the movie theater and watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lance Hendrickson from Aliens. He was the coolest guy. Yeah. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned two other names, Ron Balicki and Diana Inosanto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, you and I know these names as household names in the martial arts, but some people are listening may not know who that is. Can you tell everybody who that is and where their lineage come from?
Well, Dan Inosanto is her dad, and then he was Bruce Lee's partner, and Diana married Ron. So, and I'm in that lineage through those guys. So
Right.
My martial arts actually started in Wyoming. A gentleman named Bill Shaw opened up a school, and his lineage came from a guy named Steve Golden. And Steve Golden trained with Bruce Lee.
Okay.
And he left Wyoming, and I was kind of stuck. Where do I go? Who do I look for? And then Richard Bostello, another of the Jeet Kune Do lineage from Dan, was in Colorado, and I went down and I became instructor under him. And then he introduced me to a bunch of people. And, there's only so many ways you can punch a kick. I mean, it looks impressive, but they're all punching and kicking,
Right.
So, and then from there, Ron helped Yori Nakamura do a shoot wrestling. And I met Ron. That was before he married Diana. And then we're friends, and I've been training with him and for, I don't know, a long time.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back a little bit deeper because you opened your school in 1987. When did you actually start training in martial arts? When was your first
70,
martial arts experience?
78. I started in Taekwondo
Okay.
with a friend in high school. So not real serious, but a friend in high school, go to his house and trained. And then Bill Shaw opened up in 1980, I believe, 81.
Hmm.
And I went to him. My problem with the Taekwondo is, and I didn't learn the forms, I just worked out with the friend. I boxed. So when I went to the Taekwondo school, they kicked me in the head. And when I punched them in the face, they said I couldn't do that. I'm going, but you kicked me in the head.
Right.
Yeah.
Different,
So,
different sport, different rules. Right.
yes.
Every
Yeah. I
yeah.
was like, going, but wait, what do you mean I can't do that?
Well, it's funny because
Yeah.
I have a student who also and I I had Herb Perez on the show, talked a lot about Taekwondo and love Taekwondo
Oh, yeah.
for its kicking, but same situation, different sport, different rules. I had a student come in as a Taekwondo black belt, and he started sparring with us in Tong Soo Do. Same situation. He's kicking, and he just took a bunch of punches to the head. He said,
Nice.
"Whoa, whoa, whoa!"
Got
Right,
used to
and
it.
so
Yeah.
that's where he was able to blend it and became really quite a fighter. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, always interesting stories that way. Tell us a little bit more about your background in martial arts, and how did you decide that you were going to open a school?
I got transferred. I lived in Wyoming. I got transferred to Grand Junction to remodel the VA hospital here. I was in construction, and I was going to a school here, and the guy was great, but I was competing at the time, and then all of a sudden they weren't sparring. So I
Mm,
called Bill Shaw at the time, and Bill Shaw said, "We'll start a school." So I started teaching in my garage, and then my job told me I'd be here 4 years, wanted me to move to South Dakota. So I said I quit. I didn't see my kids because when I moved me here, they said I would be here and I'd get to see my kids, but they had me traveling all over the place. So I quit and started a construction company and the martial arts school. And there came a time I had to make a choice which one.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I don't know if I knew that before. I mean, I know you quite a while through Maya, but I don't know if we've ever talked about that. And so we have something in common because my father was in construction for nearly my entire life,
That's
and so
me.
I
Yeah.
grew up around the construction jobs, being on the jobs and doing all that stuff. What made you transition from construction? Because I'm assuming your school became your full time gig at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
In a year's time, I had 100 students. So I had to make that decision. So I had to
yeah,
weigh out. And at the time I wasn't charging enough. You know,
of course, of course.
I didn't
Right.
know.
Right. Well, that's a topic
Yeah.
all in and
Uh
of
huh.
itself with martial arts because I think no matter what we charge in the martial arts industry,
Yeah.
no matter what we charge, we're not charging enough.
Yeah.
Because you could talk about it all day long about the benefits of martial arts, what it's done for your life, what it's done for your students' life, what it's done for the instructors in your school and for their life. And you look at most schools on average are charging 199 to 299 or
Yeah.
whatever, and that's still
Yeah.
does not you can't put a
And I think
value
I was
on
at
that,
$30 a month or something.
right?
You know? Yeah. So not enough.
Definitely not enough back then.
Yeah. So I
But
actually, that's when Napa came out. I got a thing and joined Napa, and that changed, because this is a business. You got,
right.
so that changed and Napa to Maya to that whole
Hmm.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you've been part of several different organizations. When did you start with NATMA? What year
Right
was
when
that?
I can't even remember, right when they first came out.
Okay.
Yeah. They first came out. So I don't remember.
And what are your some of you talk about? It is a business, right? Of course, martial arts schools, just like anything else, we have to keep the doors open. What were some of the things that you learned early on, aside from not charging enough? What would you say made the biggest difference in your business throughout those different stages, working with the different companies?
Having a belt structure helped. At the time, I was all adults, and now we're more children than adults.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's and you can change their lives. Um, Trained fighters don't want to do that. They don't have no money. I'd love training fighters, but they don't have any money. If you have a school full of fighters, you got to do them at a separate time. I didn't get to do the wrestling like you. That would have been fun. Yeah.
That was a good time for
Well,
sure.
you
That
know,
was.
one of the ones like one of the first things I did, well, you know, they said you got to, I have to make enough that I can pay my employees. So this has to be a career for them. So that's still an ever figuring out process. We're still trying to figure that out. Um, and then being plus. So whatever you've lost last month, trying to make that up and be plus $500 was a big game changer for me.
Hmm.
So if I lost $1,000 in billing, the next month make up that 1,000 and then add, you know, an extra 500 in billing.
Hmm.
So that really helped me grow. Um, and believe it or not, a contract helped. You know, before we never had contract, you could, you know, and we always had a contract, but not really. You could quit whenever you wanted. And
Hmm.
being program based, you know,
Right.
this is, yeah.
I
So this,
think I think that's the important part to point out is people use that word contracts. It is what it is, right?
Mhm.
It's an agreement. It's a program though, and I
Yeah,
like you have several different programs in our
yeah,
school because it makes it more goal oriented. It's just like when you set a goal, if there's no time limit
yeah,
or a goal in mind, whether it's black belt or second degree black belt or whatever it is after that. I think that's really a big game changer for a lot of schools is
yeah,
programs versus membership,
yeah. We're
right?
not a gym.
And there's a
Yeah,
hundred different ways to do this. There's going to be school owners out there that are highly successful doing it their own way. But I'm on the same page with you as far as that goes. You're at 400 students now. That's not a small school. Where did you see the biggest breakthrough? When did you have that breakthrough? Whether it was 100, 200, 300. Like when did
when
you see that happen?
when I stepped out,
Ah, interesting.
yeah, I was stuck at 200, and I stepped out. And I'll be honest, I gotta give credit to Jasmine's been with me forever. She's my office manager. My daughter, um, she's, you know, she runs it. But me stepping out, I could look at it, and that changed like the numbers I look at and stuff like that. The marketing. I still teach, but I'm
Hmm.
not in here till 11 o'clock at night anymore.
Right.
But me stepping out and being able to look at the numbers and not being in the grind,
Hmm.
really, we were stuck at that 200, and we've been at that. We've been stuck at 400 for like about 3 years now. We do,
Right.
you know, we hit 450, we dropped down to 390. We're stuck at that one. So I haven't
Hmm.
figured out that yet.
Well, let me ask you this too. How did COVID affect you guys and your numbers over the last couple of years? Because you guys are in Colorado, I'm in
Yeah,
California.
we lucked out. We're on the western slope, so we were only closed a month and a half, and we got to open up. We did. We dropped. Well, at the time we were at 490, and we dropped to 350.
Wow.
So, and now we're back up to that. I think we're at 410, something like that right now.
Hmm. So that's
Yeah.
a pretty dramatic drop.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, since things have kind of smoothed out a bit, what's the biggest change that you see that's happened in your school? Maybe be it the culture, the attitude, just students
I
in general.
We're very conservative. They don't care.
Yep.
Masks are off. Everybody's working out. It's just we're back to normal here.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
We're doing booths. We're at events.
Right.
You know, yeah. Now in Denver, it's a little different. So it just depends where you're at. You know, in the
Okay.
mountain. This side's very conservative. That side's very liberal.
Well, so
Which
I have a
wrong? I don't know. You know.
I have a good friend, Kevin Kowalczyk. He's out in Littleton, Colorado. How far is
Yeah.
that? How far is that
Um,
from you guys?
Denver. That's the Denver area.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're just I think slightly east of
Yeah.
Denver.
4 hours. I'm right between. Our town's about 100,000, and we're right between Denver and Salt Lake. So it's 4 hours to Denver, 4 hours to Salt Lake. So
Wow.
I'm right on the Utah border.
Now, as I looked at your bio or your list of achievements and accomplishments, and you talked about this a little bit, you have extensive background in several martial arts over the years. Talk about some of the different martial arts system styles, the black belts that you've earned and instructor certifications that you hold.
Okay. Well, I started, like I said, I started in Taekwondo, but I never got any belts in that. And then I got Bill Shaw with Steve Golden. And I think Steve Golden called his Twin Dragons Gung Fu. Bill Shaw called it freestyle karate at the time, or Han Fuwa, but it was all a Bruce Lee lineage. From then, I trained with a ninja guy, got a black belt in ninjutsu, but then I wanted to stay within the Jeet Kune Do realm. So Richard Bostello, so I became an affiliate under him and trained with him for years. but he introduced me to like Kakwe Kenyeti, which is Dose Pares. So I've got fourth degree in Dose Pares. I got a black belt in Escrito. So within that, there's styles. Been introduced to Muay Thai. It's just like he would have people, and we'd train with them and get instructorship with them. From there, I went and trained with Ron Baliki, and with Ron, I became an instructor. Ron got me with Guru Dan, which I've always trained with Dan, but I was never. So I got my instructorship under Guru Dan too. But within that, Lameko, I got a silver glove in Savat. Savat is French. It's a French martial arts. What I liked about it is, like, coming up, I had all the karate kicks and the taekwondo kicks that did really well. And I started training Muay Thai. Well, within Thai, my side kick wasn't working. You'd square up. And then I was going to bring out a gentleman named Salem to do a Savat seminar. And then Ron Balik goes, no, bring out Nikolai. Nothing against Slem. I've never trained with Slem, but we brought Nikolai out, and he was just magic. So he got to where my karate kicks could work again, kickboxing.
Cool.
It's just a different range, and you know, that mentality. You know, and like everybody, started training jiu-jitsu. So I was training with Machados. I was driving out to California, and they were coming to Denver. So I was hitting the seminars and doing both. But I got a phone call from a guy. Hey, there's this guy named Walt Bayless in Salt Lake. You should go check him out. And got a black belt under his system. From there, I met Mark Schultz, and, you know, a guy named Justin Ellison got me a black belt in Mark Schultz's system. So within the grappling's tough on me now. I mean, at my age, it's the getting up and down. I can still do all the throws and stuff. Rolling around on the ground's tough. I can still do the stand up and punching and kicking, but yeah, it sucks because I love it. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about that in just a second, but before I move on, you know, it sounds like a lot of your experience, a lot of what you do, you're very involved in the FMA realm of training. What is it about Filipino martial arts that is so attractive to you, and why is that something that you've gravitated towards?
Well, like when Richard Bustelo came out, he brought like the gear, and we stick sparred, and I just loved it. And then from there, like, I loved the weapons and the sword fighting. Then I started competing. So, you know, Cold Steel, which got sold, so I don't think they're going to have it anymore. But Cold Steel Challenge used to be right there in the LA area, north of you guys. Where is it? Where is he at? Well, he's north of you guys. But I'd go out, and he had a big tournament. So there was a sword and knife tournament. Just a lot of fun. And a lot of my stunt work's been with knives. So I actually, with Steven Seagal, everything I've done is knives. So a lot of so that's helped me. You know, I'm kind of like with Steven, there's only like 3 people he'll work knives with. So 2 of them couldn't go. So I got a phone call and got flown to Romania in 24 hours because he was walking off the movie set. So got flown to Romania to do a knife fight with him. So that was fun. Yeah. But I think within the Filipino martial arts, I don't want to say, because I love all the arts, but it's probably one of the most complete arts. Because it's got Dumont grappling, it's got the kickboxing, you know, and it's got the weapons. But they all do, you know. I don't know. It's kind of the way, you know.
Yeah, well, we all kind of gravitate, you know, and it's also the circle that we surround ourselves with the different people. Well, let's talk about how, you know, as an older, more mature martial artist, someone that's been doing it for, you know, a number of years. You talked about it's a little harder on your body. I've been doing martial arts since I was 10 years old. I'll be 48 this year. You know, that does take a little wear and tear on your body, and the things that you used to do that were relatively easy, now it's like, oh man, you're really grinding. You know, talk about your experience and how, you know, how you feel when you're as you're getting a little bit older and training.
You know, I have good days and bad days. So I try to stay healthy. So I lift on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, the way our gym, I just bought a building. So we had the martial arts school, and we started teaching fitness kickboxing. And next thing you know, my wife rented the spot down from us. So we ended up with fitness kickboxing. And then there was personal training out of there. Well, we just bought a building last year. So we moved the two together. So now I've got a 4,000 square foot martial arts facility, a glass wall with 2 garage doors, with a kickboxing floor, and then a bunch of weights.
Wow.
So lifting and staying on my vitamins and collagen's been great. Seems to help. But my knees, depending, my knees will not there. I'm still happy because I'm still kicking. I know people have had to have their hips and knees, and I've had two knee surgery. One was ACL, but I was born without an ACL, so they didn't know how I did what I did. So they gave me an ACL, and then I just had some kind of chunk that got loose. They had to take out.
Hmm.
But I can still punch and kick fine. I just did 60 rounds for 62-minute rounds for my 60th birthday.
Good for you. That's
It,
awesome.
I said we're not doing 70, but like grappling is hard. Grappling really, really takes it out of me. But I had a heart infection about 10 years ago. I got sick, and it settled around my heart. So if I'm my sac around my heart is hard. So if I lay on the ground, it's my heart doesn't get it beat.
Mm,
So that really affects my grappling. I still do it as much as I can, you know,
right.
but then I can't bend. It's like I love C-Lot. If you guys know, C-Lot has weird low stances, and I can't do that anymore. I have to stay up tall and do that.
So what's your advice to martial arts students that are starting a little bit later in life, and how can they be successful in their training and continue on their path to black belt and beyond?
Definitely listen to your body. You know, um, the kicking part. Just don't you don't have to kick head high. And I'll be honest, if you can supplement with something, some kind of a weightlifting, I'm a firm believer in lifting weights, keeping you healthy. You know, um, and then diet, which my wife's a competitive bodybuilder, so my diet's not as good as hers.
Well, I knew that you were going to bring that up, and I want to talk about that. Even though the show here is about you, but
Yeah,
you're involved in this lifestyle
yeah,
with your wife being a bodybuilder. You talk about nutrition, you talk about your supplementing your workouts,
uh-huh.
and lots and lots of discipline. I mean, it has to, even though you're not doing the shows, it has to rub up on you a little bit. How has that changed? How has that changed your life having someone with that lifestyle?
Oh, I'm in much better shape. I mean, I never lifted. I punched and kicked, and I'll be honest, I feel the difference. I feel healthy. I can jump in here and hold the mitts and do sparring rounds with them. So I feel
Hmm.
healthier. Collagen. I mean, I'm taking collagen, and it really seems to be helping me. So take collagen, people.
There you go. There you go. Well, I
Yeah,
can. I definitely agree with the supplemental workouts. For me, lifting weights is more than just the movement. For me, it's like I get so much stress release out of that. That's like for me, going to the gym first thing in the morning is just become my routine in my life that I almost feel weird if I don't get in and do it. My body just does not feel loose, limber. The joints are lubricated. You got that extra bit of energy to go throughout your day. I just can't say it enough that I love getting in my workouts, first thing in the morning. And still at my age, I know I'm not that old, but I love to lift heavy. There's
yeah,
something about lifting heavy, not necessarily ego, but I think I like to like belts, right? We
yeah.
love
Where
we
you're
love
at?
going white belt to yellow belt to purple belt. There's kind of the next notch to achieve, because if you don't have something to reach for, what are we doing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But I'm glad to hear that you recommend that as well.
yeah.
What are some things that are part of your daily routine in addition to your weightlifting, eating healthy? Any other suggestions?
Uh, Again, reading. I read a lot, and I read both fiction and nonfiction. You got to read all the Jocko books and all that. But then I'm a Star Wars fan, so I read those. And
Oh boy,
and the
here
fact
we
that
go.
Diana is on there. Hopefully, I was supposed to be on, but I had a fishing trip and I didn't get to be in the Star Wars. But maybe in the future, you never know.
Well,
uh,
once again, it's like I love these shows and these chats because I learn more about people and some things that we have in common. And My wife makes fun of me all the time that I'm like the biggest Star Wars nerd on the
Yeah.
planet. Like I can't wait for Obi-Wan to come out. And when you
Yeah.
brought up Diana's name, I was like, yeah, she was in
Yeah.
Mandalorian. That was cool, you
Yeah.
know. And I've
She's
known her
really
from
great.
way back before that. But still,
Yeah.
like to be involved in the Star Wars universe, I think is super cool.
Yeah.
Um, and reading. So you mentioned Jocko.
Yes.
I think we all know, Extreme Ownership. Talking about those kind of books. Who are some other authors or other people that you like to read?
Right now, I'm reading Culture Code. I'm not sure who the Coyle, Daniel
Okay.
Coyle. Um, oh man, see, you put me on the spot. I don't know. If I was home, my library would be in front of me. I could tell you.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you're reading now and what you're taking away from it.
A lot now is about teamwork and culture building. Trying to get a culture built. Things have changed. It's so weird. I've got to learn how to communicate with the younger generation. You know, when we came up, it was you didn't want to talk to the boss, and now they want us to talk to him. And I don't know. I've got to learn. It's just different. It's like hiring people's tough. People
Hmm.
want, we just worked. So now so I'm trying to build the new culture, trying to figure that out.
Right.
Um, and that's more on Jasmine. And she's, like I said, she's, you know, a godsend to me, but yeah.
It's definitely, when you talk about culture, and I just read a book, and of course I'm putting myself on the spot, but I can't remember the name of the book right now. But just talked a lot about teamwork and culture and building that within your school, and I think that that's so important. I think that you're right that this the kids that work for us now are coming up in a different time than
Mhm.
obviously when you were a kid. And I can remember, my dad telling me, you just put your head down and you go to work. That we don't talk about feelings.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about your feelings. Like if you're hurt, go
We
home.
don't
I
care.
mean,
Yeah.
well, I'll tell you a story real quick. I was working with my dad at about 14 years old. 14 years old, and I told you my dad was in construction, and we were working just not too far from the house. And so I went home for lunch. Instead of hanging out on the job and eating with everybody, went home for lunch. But I came back on my skateboard, and I'm coming down, and I came down this big hill. Right. Well, I was coming down on my skateboard, and even though as a martial artist, I didn't fall properly. I put my hand out. Right,
Yeah.
and so I got to the job, and I all I did, I was basically just a day laborer. I was just digging. And so I'm like, Dad, I can't hold the shovel. I cannot, I can't move my arm. He's
Yeah.
like, well, if you can't work, get out of here, go home. And like nothing, like there was no, like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And listen, I love my dad, he was tough on
Yeah.
us, but he sends me home. Well, I'm sitting at home, my mom comes home. So what's wrong? I'm like, my arm hurts. So they take me to the doctor, get an x-ray, my arm's broken, you know. And my dad's like, come on, what's wrong with you? You can work, get it done,
Yeah.
but totally, again, way back. And now you're dealing with people with where we're not talking about physical anything, we're talking about emotional, a different
Yes.
emotional culture, where maybe you say the wrong thing or you look the wrong way, and people are getting hurt
Post the
feelings.
wrong meme or GIF.
Right, right, right.
It's
He-
it's
but it's
it's
different,
yeah.
and we could complain about it, or we could learn about it. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting back to, is you're reading a book that tells you, like, I need to find a way to get through to them. I need to find a way to communicate with them. I'm very lucky because I have a 20-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son, so they're kind of in that range
Yeah.
of that younger group where I understand through their point of view and what they tell me, because they're telling me stuff all the time, like, Dad, you just don't know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're right, because I'm not 20 and 17. So
Yeah.
teach me, and I am okay with that, to learn how I could better communicate with my staff. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not teaching the classes and I'm not running my classes, and I've got, a group of teenagers that take care of all of that, I need to be able to relate to them on a level that I can communicate well enough that they can do their job to the best of their ability. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, what kind of leader am I? So, it goes right back to what you were saying about, understanding that new culture.
Yeah. It's different. I mean, it's like even within there, this generation is more want. They don't worry. They want time off, not money. They
Right.
want a lifestyle. So figuring that out, that's what we're trying to figure out, which I think we're doing a good job. But like everybody, we need employees, and we're struggling. We got
Hmm.
some great ones that are going to be great in like 3 years.
Right? You're looking at the 12, 13-year olds, right? You're like, they're going to be good one day. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let me ask you, do you have a leadership team for those young preteen teenagers to help kind of wean them into your instructor group?
yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we do.
awesome.
Yeah, they learn looking in the eye and yes or no sirs, how to talk in public.
Right, right.
So,
Well, we've used Dave Kovar and at the time the
phenomenal.
Kovar brothers, that employee handbook or career training guide. I mean, we still use that as a 12-week course that we run our leadership kids through. And man, that's just an awesome system to be
Yeah.
able to create leaders in your school.
Well, he's
And
the
I think
man.
that's
He's the
yeah,
man. So,
he is
going
right.
on like having a mentor, like within the martial arts, I've always had a mentor. And then within the business realm, I've always had mentors. So
Hmm.
I think in life, we need mentors for everything,
For sure. We'll
Yeah.
talk about some of them. So, I mean, obviously, Dave Kovar is someone that a lot of
Sure.
us in the martial arts industry look up to. Who are some
Yeah.
other mentors,
Oh,
business or?
Fari Bors has been, he's by you. Fari
Mhm.
Bors, Tom
Yep.
Kalos, all those guys that started with Natman and came over to, the Maya. Mike
Hmm.
Metzger, he's been helping me a lot with stuff right now. And I don't think we'd have been able to buy the building if it wasn't for them talking to us.
Hmm.
Mr. Silverman talked to us and helped us walking through to buy the building. So, I mean, the building has been a struggle just because we bought it during COVID. So I bought it last June. We moved in January, and I thought we'd have all our construction done. Our air conditioning's still not in, and we ordered it in September.
Wow.
It was supposed to be here today, and they're not here.
We have learned how to be a little more patient, haven't we?
Yeah. And then, like, again, marketing. So, like, our marketing, it was in the public, which we still do. And we were just talking about the benefit. And you're big at doing stuff in your neighborhoods and being in your community and stuff like that. But Facebook. So, Chris Rodriguez has been, I took her course and I was doing all of it and doing okay. But I was stressed because everything would change and I'm old. And so, listening to her and having her help me with my Facebook marketing and
Hmm.
all that good stuff. So it's changed. We used to advertise on the paper and the radio, and now it's
Yellow
Facebook.
pages.
Yeah, yeah, big old ad in the yellow. You wanted the biggest ad in the yellow pages,
Right.
And I did radio. Radio did really well for me, and now it's TikTok.
Right. Yep. Always learning new. Well, if there's
Yeah,
one thing we know is that everything evolves. The martial arts has evolved,
yeah,
marketing and business has evolved. How we serve our students and our schools. I mean, that has evolved. I mean, think back to when you first opened your school
yeah.
and now, right?
Flyers.
What?
We'd go put flyers everywhere.
Right? Oh yeah.
Then we'd get the ticket and have to go take them off the cars.
Yep. Those were the days, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, so let's kind of dive a little bit deeper. Let's go back. You said that you came from Wyoming to Colorado. Now, did you grow up and were you raised in Wyoming?
I moved to Wyoming when I was 16.
Okay. And so
Yeah, I
where
moved
were you from before that?
Arvada. I lived over in the Denver area. So my dad
Okay.
worked construction, and their company was in Denver, and then they moved their company to Wyoming.
Okay.
So yeah, I was hanging drywall and doing all that stuff.
Yeah. So what was life like as a young Troy Miller?
I had long hair, listened to rap. Back then it wasn't rap, but the Commodores and all that. And I moved to a country town. Had to start taking martial arts. Luckily, I boxed but I liked Wyoming. The wind blows, but I think it was good I moved because I was starting to get in trouble in the Denver area, and moving me to a more. I mean, it's not rural, but it's definitely more rural. Got me out,
Mhm.
kept me out of trouble.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so and
Tell
then
tell us a tell us a little bit just about your upbringing. Your parents and your family.
um, my parents are divorced, but my stepdad's my dad too, so I had two sets. My dad lived in Utah, so I spent my summers with him. And then I grew up in Wyoming, fishing and hunting. To this day I still love fly fishing. And then, you know, 4 sisters. I'm the oldest.
The oldest.
Yep.
So you had all the responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. I got in trouble. They got mellow by the time my younger sisters came up. They got away with everything. I didn't get away with nothing.
Let me take a break here real quick and just give a shout out because we have someone watching just posted here. And I just want to say hey to Emilio Roman. Thank you for watching and commenting. Emilio is the CEO of Co-Author Network and Spiritual Fitness Academy. So just
Oh,
want to
cool.
say hey to Emilio.
Hey,
Thanks
Emilio.
for joining. Emilio had me on his show not too long ago. A power couple with his wife, just like you and your wife. You know, isn't it great, by the way, to work with your wife, to work alongside your wife?
Yeah.
What's that like for you?
Um, she has her side. I have my side.
Right? Emilio knows what we're talking about because we talked about that same thing. We got
Yeah.
our own thing. We know
Yeah.
what to do.
And I'm the idea guy. So I'm the aggravating one. I come in, we're going to do this, let's do it. And then I move on, and they've got to figure out how to make it work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. It's been good. I think, I wouldn't have had the fitness side and the kickboxing without her. She really did that. We work really well together. I mean, I can say, yeah, it's hard, but it's not really that hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Emilio says he loves this conversation, but it is kind of cool when you know and you realize, I'm very fortunate. My wife is, I wouldn't say the opposite, but she perfectly complements me. What I do well, she does everything else, you know what I mean? Or what she does well,
Yeah.
I can't do. So it is a perfect fit,
Yeah.
and that makes it nice. My wife is also a martial artist, so that made it kind of easy for us to
Yes.
run the school together. But now, I mean, she's taken things to a whole different level and really, done a lot of things on her own outside of the school with, some of our other businesses, which is amazing. And like your wife, she's out there competing. I see the posts on Facebook a lot, competing in
Yep.
the bodybuilding world.
I mean,
That's amazing.
what's for dinner? Chicken and rice. So I come home one day and it was chicken and rice. I said, oh, I got to go. And she goes, where are you going? I said, I can't tell you. And she goes, I can't tell you. And she goes, just tell me. I said, I'm gonna go get a hamburger and a beer.
Yep, yep, good times, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, let's go back for a second. We were talking about your childhood and got in a little trouble. You're the oldest one.
yeah.
Um, Tell us a little bit more.
Just hanging out with the wrong crowd. I think moving was really good for me because it kind of reset the group I was hanging out with.
Hmm.
And I don't think I was a bad group, but I definitely, I would have gotten in trouble. But then I moved to Wyoming, and I didn't make friends real easy. It took a year, and then I got some good friends. But so, and then, there was a thing called dancers, so I got involved in a dancing thing that I really enjoyed. But again, I was kind of in the Arvada area. I was kind of in a black neighborhood, so I wasn't break dancing at the time, but that type dancing.
Hmm.
So, kind of like Bruce Lee did cha-cha, I was doing that. now
Now
I
that
now I
that is
country dance.
right. Now that's something that I did not hear, did not see coming. Tell us more about that breakdance. What kind of, like? I mean, did you
At
do
the time,
contests or was this just kind of like street
yeah,
dancing? Or I'm thinking of
I won a lot of contests. So, how they had dance contests, and
yeah.
you'd go to dances, and they actually had underage clubs you could go to in the Denver area, and we'd go and had a group that we went to, and we always won. And if you start dancing, they'd circle around you, that type of stuff. Then
Yeah.
they didn't do that in Wyoming.
Well, one of my
Girls
favorite
did stuff.
movies. One of my favorite movies in the '80s was the movie Breakin'. So as soon as you
Yes,
started talking about that, I'm
yes,
like, well, that was a cool movie, And
yeah.
and I don't know, martial artists probably don't even know this interesting fact about that movie. But did you know that Jean Claude Van Damme, that was his first movie that he was ever in?
I did not know that.
So if you watch one of the scenes when they're out at Venice, you'll see this dancer in kind of a, dancer's leotard, whatever.
With the,
It looks
with
like a
the,
wrestling singlet, basically. And it's
yeah,
Jean Claude Van Damme. He's ripped as he always was, and he's out there doing some little dance. So
oh, that's
that was
hilarious.
that was like the first movie. That was even before he was in No Retreat, No Surrender.
Wow, that's cool.
Fun
Yeah,
fact of the day.
yeah. Me and my wife went and took ballroom dancing, so that was fun. Except she has to lead. I have to. So like they're complimenting each other. The
Right?
difference is I'm the girl in our relationship. I'm
Well,
the one who
nothing wrong with
cries
a
in
strong woman.
movies. I'm the one who cries in movies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's been a nice journey. Yeah.
So
Now,
what are some of your current goals? What are some of the current things that you're working on?
I just go back and forth. I've always thought I wanted to open a second location, but I'm not sure now.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe a second location. I'm still doing stunt work, so hopefully that keeps going. I got a stunt coordinate Washington's Armor. I was on it for a month, so that was a lot of fun, but that was nerve wracking. So when I'm doing stunt work, I worry about myself, and I can throw myself down the stairs and do stuff.
Hmm.
But when you got young stuntmen, they're not always real bright, and I worry about them getting hurt. But it was a lot of fun. So that has come out. So the group that made The Chosen, that filming place,
Hmm.
is making a series of like positive movies.
Hmm.
So Washington's Armor about a young George Washington. So we had a lot of musket fights, tomahawk fights with Native Americans, and it was a lot of fun. But it
All
was
right.
it was more nerve wracking than I thought it was going to be. You know,
Yeah.
I, I enjoyed it, but there's two more of them coming out. But
Nice.
yeah,
Well, you mentioned before, you saw that that I did some professional wrestling, and a
yeah,
lot of people watch professional wrestling and assume, oh, well, that's just like kind of that. It looks easy, but quite honestly, there's a lot of training that
yeah.
goes behind everything that you see. Um, as a stunt person, you got into it almost by accident. But talk about, like, I mean, how did you train, and how do you train to do the stunts that you do?
It's weird because you got to learn camera angles because you're not supposed to get touched. So camera angles, selling the blows, got to be timed just right. A lot of it was Ron Baliki yelling at me, and then we'd set up the mini tramp and me getting blown up and landing,
Hmm.
learning to fall because you don't fall like you do for martial arts. Your spine is covered, so you actually got to do the opposite. You kind of curve up because you want to land on your spine and not slap. Running,
Right,
falling forward. A lot of it was just do it and see what happens.
right, right, right. We
having
talked about.
having somebody there that knows, you know, the biggest thing is not overact.
Mhm.
Don't over die.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. Is it,
Yeah,
in the professional wrestling world, we talk about selling,
yeah,
and sometimes that's really hard for people. As a matter of fact,
it
when I
is.
started training, it was hard for me because I would say you're going to have to actually hit me for me to sell a little bit better. Because if
Yep.
I feel nothing,
Uh
it
huh.
was hard to react appropriately. I mean, you could, and there is such thing as overselling it. If it's just too over the top, it just doesn't. It looks goofy, right?
Yeah.
So
If it's two stunt guys, that's great. You can hit each other, but we are not allowed to touch the principals, so
right.
we cannot touch them. They hit us all the time, which I prefer. Like even with Steven, he had balsa wood knives. They look real.
Uh-huh.
And we were down to the last one. He broke every one of them on me. I'm like, this is
Nice.
it. If we don't get the shot now, we're done. Yeah. So, and Steven's knife stuff was good. He was teaching us his system. So it's different than anything I've seen. So yeah.
Well, you've had some really great experiences, a lot of different stuff, with the starting in Taekwondo and getting very involved in the Filipino martial arts to working on the sets and doing stunts, having your wife as a bodybuilder. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that you've seen and done, coming from a family that was in construction.
Yep.
Um, Very interesting life, a lot of interesting stories.
So
Um,
I got one question.
yeah, go ahead.
How's your body from the wrestling?
My body, you know what? I've had my share of injuries.
Yeah.
I had a dislocated shoulder. I had a really bad concussion. Both of those took me out for a while. But because I keep moving, and this is I just tell everybody the only way that I can feel good is if I keep moving. It's when I stop moving and
Mhm.
I'm not as active that I feel all of it. It's been almost 2 years since I've been in the ring, and just really more based on time than anything else. The passion and desire is definitely still there. It's just, my school is a little further away than it used to be, and I would love to get back into it, as soon as possible. I'm still training a lot of Krav Maga, still teaching and training Tong Sudo.
Yeah.
Not as much grappling for me, because I've had so much damage to my neck. I
Yeah.
always worry about getting cranked. But overall, I mean, I feel like I'm actually, stronger in a lot of ways now because of the weightlifting.
Mhm.
I feel really, really strong and good. Um, as a
I always wanted to do it. So, you know,
to do the professional wrestling.
yeah, I'm from the Hulkamania time. Ugh!
Yeah, a
I always
hundred
wanted to do it.
percent,
Looks so
a
much
hundred
fun.
percent.
You know.
Yeah. It was a blast. I had over 100, almost 110 matches, which in the wrestling world, that's nothing. That's like only going a few rounds. But for me, that was like, I started at 38 years old. I
Yeah.
wanted to do this when I first opened my martial arts school. My goal was to be a martial arts school owner and eventually go to the WWE. I don't know how I was going to do it, but I
Yeah.
wanted to do it. And then that just kind of slipped away. It was just one of those things that it slipped away for about 20 years, and then out of nowhere, I get this opportunity to go to a wrestling promotion that was local, and actually it was because I was promoting the martial arts school, and I was
Okay.
just there with a booth, and then one thing led to another, and that's how I got into pro wrestling. Kind of like how you got into stunts. It
Right
just kind of
place,
happened
right
upon it.
time. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
fate steps in, and
Yeah.
things happen for a reason. So it was a great experience. My body is feeling pretty good right now. I'm getting ready for a couple tests soon, and I'm just trying to stay as active as
Yeah.
I
Me
can.
too. Never ending. You got to have those goals.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's just we're just built that way, that
Yeah.
we need to keep reaching for something new, something next. Maybe not something new. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Just to that next level, right?
Yeah.
Because I was just saying to our black belts, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So
Yep.
keep growing.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you. Thanks for sharing some time with me today.
That was great. Thank you. It was fun.
It was cool to catch up. Hopefully, I'll see you at the Martial Arts Super Show in
I'll be there.
July. All right, I'll be there.
Because,
We'll
yeah.
catch up. And for those of you that are watching now or will watch later, do us a favor, share this out, and keep checking in with us each and every Monday. Monday here at 12 Pacific Standard Time. Every Monday we're here with a new guest. Got a couple great guests coming up, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. Troy, is there anything that you would like to tell anybody on your way out? Any motivation for the day?
Just keep moving, like you said. Life is movement. You got to move. It's tough because of the phone. Everybody's, where I think we were better off when we didn't have the phone. It's got its advantages, but yeah, just keep moving. Stay active.
Well, there you go. Well, keep moving, keep active, guys. Make it a great day, and we will see you next Monday.
All right. It's good talking to you.
Thanks, Troy.
All
Take
right.
care,
Bye.
bud. Bye bye.